To say that this week has offered particularly painful days is a terrible understatement. It has been wrenching. The news that 6 hostages, namely Hirsch, Carmel, Idan, Alex, Almog, and Ori, were murdered only days before Israeli soldiers reached them, was beyond comprehension. Although all lives hold equal value, Hirsch Goldberg Poland's death crushed me more than those of others. He was one of the few hostages from Jerusalem, and his picture was plastered everywhere I turned in the Jerusalem neighborhood I call home for 2 weeks every summer. His parents, John and Rachel, and most especially Rachel, showed such remarkable courage and poise during these past 11 months and helped me become acquainted with Hirsch's character, his passions and interests, as well as his endearing quirks and loving nature. When I heard Rachel first speak in Washington, D.C. at the November rally, I doubted her belief that Hirsch was still alive. His arm had been blown off when he and his best friend, Honor, tried to escape the onslaught in a fortified bus shelter. Honor was killed by grenades. Hirsch lost his arm. How could he survive without emergency medical care, I wondered. But he did. She was right. She was right when she stood only days ago at Gaza's border, shouting his name and pleading with him to stay strong. And he did, for 11 months. I watched his funeral online along with thousands of others. There were audible wails among the thousands of people in attendance. The cries became distorted on my laptop speakers. And still I marveled at his family's strength. I admired how Hirsch's friends held each other up as they spoke. How could one not weep as Rachel spoke about her dear, sweet boy? She said, "I am honest and I say it is not that Hirsch was perfect, but he was the perfect son for me. And I am so grateful to God, and I want to do a hakarat tov and thank God right now for giving me this magnificent present of my Hirsch. For 23 years, I was privileged to have this most stunning treasure, to be Hirsch's mama. And I'll take it and say thank you. I just wish it had been for longer." There are not enough tissues for the grief this year has offered our people. Every day seems to offer enough heartbreak for a lifetime. Hamas's murderous rampage continues to terrorize us. Israel's heavy-handed response has made us defensive in even the most genteel of settings. Let me be honest. Netanyahu is ill-fitted for leadership at this dangerous and pivotal moment. The radicals he has empowered endanger lives and undermine our people's moral fiber with their desire to resettle Gaza and their efforts to organize Jewish prayer near Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque. Let me be clear. Benjamin Netanyahu is not responsible for Hamas's genocidal ideology or for their actions, but he is responsible for Israel's response to it and Israel's lack of readiness on October 7th. He is no longer the right leader for Israel and the Jewish people. And Israelis are taking to the streets once again, protesting his failures, and most especially this week, his abandonment of the hostages. I wish to stand with those Israelis protesting against Netanyahu and his government's unprecedented failures, and standing up for a better and perhaps brighter future for the country we so love. Israel cannot destroy Hamas completely. It can degrade its capabilities. It can work with allies to cut off its funding, but it cannot wipe it out. Even if the IDF were to destroy all of Gaza and kill thousands more Gazans, God forbid, it would still not eradicate Hamas. Thousands of additional dead will not make us any safer. A military cannot destroy an ideology. It can better protect its citizens and kill as many terrorists as possible, but it cannot destroy an ideology as much as justice might demand such an outcome. At this juncture, Israel's best alternative is a ceasefire. Had that been agreed to a few weeks ago, Hirsch would have been home in the embrace of his mother and his father and sisters and friends. He was among the first on the list of those who would have been released. This week's Torah portion speaks about justice. It states, Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. Justice is a pursuit. The Hebrew language is even stronger. It suggests that we must run after justice. It implies that justice is an ongoing and difficult effort. But the tradition has another saying. We read in Pirkei Avot, B'rodef Shalom, a pursuer of peace. How can one pursue both justice and peace? They are often in conflict. Justice demands that Israel continue its fight until it captures, actually recaptures, or kills the mastermind of October 7th's brutality, Sinwar. But that would mean condemning the remaining hostages to Hirsch's terrible fate. Life demands compromises, and preserving life most especially necessitates compromises. Saving life requires us to let go of the notions of perfect justice and even, I must admit, 100% security. Could the future price of such compromises be too great? I do not know. The tradition debates ransoming captives at length. Can a community sell a Torah scroll to fulfill the mitzvah of Pidyon Shvuim? It asks and then answers yes. Could paying too high a price encourage more hostage-taking? The Talmud, the tradition, says yes as well. The tradition appears as befuddled as we currently are. All this I know for certain. All I can be crystal clear about right now and in this moment is those 101 families. And their pain is too much to continue to carry. And so this evening's Hirsch's father, John, offers the closing words. At his son's funeral, he said, Hirsch, forgive us. Sorry we failed you. We all failed you. You would not have failed you. You would have pushed harder for justice. You would have worked to understand the other, to bridge differences. You would have challenged more people to challenge their own thinking. And what you will be pushing for now is to ensure that your death and the deaths of all the soldiers and so many innocent civilians are not in vain. Your starting point would be returning all of the hostages. For 330 days, Mama and I sought the proverbial stone that we could turn over to save you. Maybe, just maybe, your death is the stone, the fuel that will bring home the remaining 101 hostages. Kei Nihi Ratzon. May it be God's will.